Подытожили два программных совместных
truthful to go where no news will have been going before.
Engage impulse engines. Engage.
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 Engage. Engage. Engage. Engage.
Engage.
Engage. Engage. Engage. Engage. Engage. Engage.
Captain. Engage emergency override.
Engage. Engage. Engage.
Engage forward shields, 35%.
Engage.
Engage the cloaking device.
Engage.
Of them. Engage them in conversation.
Engage. Engage.
U.S. airstrikes hit Syria. Watch this space. U.S. airbase hits after tit-for-tat strikes kill contractor and pro-Iran fighters. Attack comes after American strikes repeatedly killed 11 in retaliation against Iranian-origin drone strike on base near Hasaka, reports MiddleEastEye.net. On Thursday afternoon, a U.S. contractor was killed and 5 American servicemen were wounded by a kamikaze drone attack of Iranian origin on a U.S.-led coalition base near northern Syria's Hasaka, the U.S. military said. The U.S. Central Command CENTCOM added that it's responded by attacking facilities used by groups affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. A U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said the strikes had been ordered at President Joe Biden's bidding. The airstrikes were conducted in response to today's attack as well as a series of recent attacks against coalition forces in Syria by groups of affiliated IRGC forces, Austin said on Thursday. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a UK-based activist group that monitors Syria's conflict, said 11 Iran-backed fighters had been killed and 6 wounded. The observatory told AFP that the U.S. strikes hit targets near eastern Syria's al-Mayadeen and Abu Kamal. It's believed around 900 U.S. troops are deployed in Syria. And from IranWire.com, U.S. strikes Iran-backed groups in Syria after drone kills American. The Pentagon says the U.S. military carried out multiple airstrikes in Syria overnight against Iran-aligned groups after a suspected Iranian-made drone killed a U.S. contractor and wounded another contractor along with 5 American troops. So let's note that so far from the reporting, it's confirmed that the United States carried out the strike, but it's not confirmed that Iran was responsible for the strike that the U.S. purportedly responded to. The Department of Defense said the attack against U.S. personnel took place at a base near Hasaka in northeast Syria on March 23rd. The U.S. intelligence community assessed that the drone was of Iranian origin, according to the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who said the retaliatory strikes targeted facilities used by groups affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards. A UK-based war monitor, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, reported that the U.S. strikes left 8 pro-Iranian fighters dead, so we're getting conflicting reports there, 8 and 11. Iran and Syria did not immediately acknowledge the strikes, which came during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Army General Eric Kurilla, who oversees U.S. troops in the Middle East as the head of Central Command, alleged that American troops in Syria have come under attack by Iranian-backed groups about 78 times since the beginning of 2021. Iran of today is exponentially more militantly capable than it was even 5 years ago, he told the U.S. House Armed Services Committee, adding that the Islamic Republic now holds the largest and most capable unarmed aerial vehicle force in the region. Syria's 12-year civil war began with Arab Spring protests before morphing into a regional proxy conflict that seen Tehran and Moscow back President Bashar al-Assad. U.S. forces entered the country in 2015, backing Allied forces in their fight against the Islamic State extremist groups. There are currently roughly 900 American troops and more contractors in the country. From Tasnim, U.S. carries out attacks in Syria. The United States carried out airstrikes in eastern Syria targeting government facilities in Deir ez-Zor province. It came following an alleged attack on a U.S. contractor at an illegal coalition base in the country's northeast. According to the Pentagon, the alleged drone attack left 1 contractor dead and 5 U.S. service members wounded. In a statement, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the Central Command forces had responded with precision air attacks against the facilities. Pentagon added 3 of the wounded service members and the injured contractor were transported to medical facilities in Iraq. Overnight, videos on social media purported to show explosions in Syria, Deir ez-Zor, a strategic province that borders Iraq and contains oil fields. A U.S. military has for long stationed its forces and equipment in northeastern Syria, with the Pentagon claiming that the deployments aimed at preventing the oil fields in the area from falling into the hands of the Daesh, ISIL, or ISIS terrorists. Damascus, however, maintains the deployments meant to plunder the country's natural resources. Former U.S. President Donald Trump admitted on several occasions that American forces were in the Arab country for its oil wealth. Syria's government has on multiple occasions condemned the looting of Syrian crude oil by U.S. forces. And from Memo, unidentified drones strike Iran, link trucks in Syria. Unidentified drones yesterday struck 3 trucks belonging to Iranian groups in the Deir ez-Zor governorate in eastern Syria, Anadolu news agency reported. The agency quoted Syrian sources as saying that the trucks were carrying closed containers and entered Syria from Iraq before being targeted in the city of al-Bukamal. According to the sources, the drones bombed the trucks after they arrived at the Imam Ali base south of al-Bukamal, which is run by an Iran-linked militia. There were no reports of deaths or injuries as a result of the attack. For years, the sites of pro-Iran groups in Syria have been repeatedly bombed by Israeli and American planes. And watch this space. Remember, your engagement through a like, a share, and a sub will accelerate us at warp speed towards the continuation of our mission to truthfully go where no news will have been going before. So as the Palestinian resistance grows, specific groups begin to work together. Here's a bit of a documentary on that by Al Jazeera.
7 children. Direct response to Israeli attacks on Gaza earlier the same month, which led to the death of more than 260 Palestinians, including 67 children.
The Islamic Jihad in Jenin City and its refugee camps assure we stand by your side in this blessed uprising. We assure everyone will continue to defend Jerusalem and Palestine, Al-Quds in Palestine, despite its occupiers' ruthless crimes, killing, and destruction. We tell the occupation we'll stay here and endure, and your removal will happen soon. We call on our people to fight this occupier.
Al Jazeera interviewed one of the co-founders of the Jenin brigades on condition that his identity be hidden.
Jamil al-Amouri was one of the first founders pursued by Zionists. At first he was on his own. He began to encourage other young men in the street to fight with him. He was literally by himself. Then a small number of young men from the refugee camp joined him. They started to target groups of occupation soldiers in areas near Jenin city. During Operation Sword of Jerusalem of Al-Quds, al-Amouri had only 7 people with him. He was the 8th. When the operation began, the Jenin brigade started to appear and have continued until the present day.
بلش يعني ظهورها فمن عند معركة سيف القدس لحد اليوم ما انتهتش.
Israel paid close attention to the new group. And in June 2021, a special forces unit killed al-Amouri in Jenin, along with 2 Palestinian military intelligence agents.
تجمع القائد عندما استشهد الشهيد القائد جميل العموري استشهاده أثر كثير بالشباب وبالشارع فقصته إنه كان بداية الوحيد لحاله له أثرت كثير على الشباب بالضفة الغربية بشكل عام فمن هون بلشت القصة
That's how it all started. Every time one of our young men got killed, 10 more joined in. That's how the Jenin Brigade's group was found. The Islamic Jihad movement has been controlling the situation here for years. What looks like a new brigade started to appear in the refugee camp. This is not a brigade. There are dozens of armed men in small groups. That's why Zionists must fiercely fight this movement. If someone tries to kill you, act first and kill them. Those who live to kill shouldn't be left moving freely around.
Israel's tactics appear Islamic Jihad 2020 had figures Al Jazeera allegedly led in these Al Jazeera nation and
الجهاد الإسلامي وقد نجوت.
Be hidden.
سيد أكرم العجوري
You're an Islamic Jihad leader and one of the most wanted by Zionists. You've survived an assassination attempt that took the life of your son. Are these attempts in your life still continuing? This is the nature of this enemy. It's a treacherous enemy and we don't expect anything other than this from them. This is Akram This is Akram al-Juri. He's an Islamic Jihad leader. When I choose to go on this path, I know that my predecessors ended up assassinated. Even though they had better performance and a greater influence than mine. So I already know I'll always be targeted. Regarding the assassination attempt, I believe that Zionists received information that helped them identify where I was. I believe someone helped them and I don't want to say who that was. Was it a state security service? I don't want to talk about it. It's a sensitive issue. He even thinks it's a Palestinian authority. I know exactly who did it, but I don't want to mention it. Did this intervention help identify where you were? I know a third party helped them only a few hours before the assassination attempt took place. They'd already identified the place through communication, but they wanted to accurately identify the exact time when I was home. This was very important for them. I was in my home in Damascus, Syria. I was always on the move, always traveling. But it was important for them to know exactly when I was my home, and they did.
وبالفعل تم تحديد ذلك.
Tamer al-Mishal asked al-Ajuri if there'd been other attempts on his life.
حاول العدو أكثر من محاولة.
The enemy has tried more than once to assassinate me. Some people were arrested for this.
واعتقلوا ولا أعرف في منهم.
كانت هنا في
Here
بيروت
in
أو في
Beirut
دمشق؟
or in Damascus? Mostly in Damascus.
بس في أحد
A
العملاء
Lebanese collaborator came from
جاء
Beirut to
من
Damascus and he
إلى
was arrested.
دمشق وتم اعتقاله. في
Another
عميل
collaborator came
آخر
from
من
Gaza
غزة
to
كان
Syria. He was
إلى
exposed
سوريا
and arrested.
تم كشفه واعتقاله.
إسرائيليا
Zionists
أنت
accuse
المتهم
you as military
كقائد
leader of
عسكري
leading
أول
and running
لسرايا
Jenin
القدس
brigades.
بإدارة كتيبة جنين وتوجيهها. كتيبة جنين التابعة لسرايا القدس.
ما حدث في جنين
What happened now in Jenin is a natural buildup of the history of the city and its refugee camp.
تاريخ جنين تاريخ مخيم جنين تاريخ. هذا هو مخيم
This
جنين.
is Jenin's refugee camp 20 years later.
20 عام.
It shows its historic, its heroic people, their courage, and their social harmony.
تماسكهم انسجامهم الاجتماعي.
Every single home in Jenin has a martyr, a detained member of the
يكاد أن
family.
نقول كل بيت
Every single home in Jenin has a martyr. What we see in Jenin these days is predictable.
من صورة شيء غير مستغرب.
It's a history of an accumulation of acts of heroism. It's our duty to oversee this phenomenon and continue to do so.
There are clear preparing.
This is Abu al-Hassan. First is monitoring and follow-up unit. They monitor the enemy's moves at Jalama crossing, Karim Abu Salam crossing, or any other route they take to reach us. All roads and checkpoints are under our monitoring. The second unit is the one that makes homemade explosives devices to confront this enemy. And the third unit is the confrontation and engagement unit.
هل بنيت
And the structure of
كتيبة
Jenin
جنين
brigades in the
هي
West
بنية
Bank
صلبة
solid,
تنظيميا
military
عسكريا
and
بالنظر إلى ما
organizationally,
تعرضت له
considering
من
the
عمليات
constant target
اغتيال
and
واستهداف
assassinations they've
مستمر
come
وأن
under,
الظروف أيضا في
and
الضفة
especially that
الغربية
the circumstances
ليست
in the
كالظروف
West
مثلا في
Bank are
غزة.
different from those in
حتماً
Gaza. The group's now
الكتيبة الآن في
progressing
طور
and
بناء
developing.
متصاعد. وهذا
This development
البناء لا
isn't enough.
يتوقف على
The
الكتيبة.
group also
كمان
needs
الكتيبة تحتاج إلى
resources.
روافد. تحتاج إلى
It needs other
تعدد.
branches.
نحن الآن
Thank Allah, we
بفضل
now
الله
have
لدينا
brigades in
كتاب
Nablus,
في
Jabba,
نابلس،
Tubas,
في
and
جبع، في
Tulkarem.
طوباس، في طول كرم.
عدد
Are
أفراد
their numbers
الكتيبة
increasing?
هل
Are we talking about
الأعداد
tens or
تتطور؟
hundreds?
يعني نتحدث عن عشرات عن مئات.
لا هو الأعداد أنت تستطيع
There's
أن
no
تقول
limit to the
الأعداد
numbers.
ليست أعداد محدودة.
It's a big
هي
number.
أعداد كبيرة. يعني
We used to be
قلنا
dozens,
أعداد
fully equipped,
العشرات،
armed,
نعم
experienced.
عشرات مجهزة وعلى قدر عالي من أول شيء التجهيز كامل بالسلاح، الخبرة أصبح لديهم خبرة وحاضنة هؤلاء قد يصل إلى مئات، لكن الكتلة بالسلاح الخبرة أصبح لديهم خبرة وحاضنة هؤلاء قد يصل إلى مئات، لكن الكتلة
The
الصلبة
solid part of this group is almost 100 or a bit more.
يعني قريبة من 100 أو أكثر بقليل.
Hundreds of young men want to join the Jenin brigades, and one of our men is killed, another man carries his weapon. Every weapon that belonged to a martyr is now carried by someone else. There are shootings, and they may result in casualties. We saw in the past couple of days when Jenin and Nablus were raided, rockets may be fired from Gaza at southern Israel. And this is Or Heller, the military correspondent for Israeli Channel 13.
וכמו שראינו גם בימים האחרונים, לפעמים כשאתה נכנס לשכם או לג'נין, זה מביא רקטות מעזה על הדרום של ישראל.
Just like what we saw for the first time after Operation Breaking Dawn last summer. That's why Israel tries to carefully deal with
חטיבת ג'נין,
and to estimate the real structure of the Jenin brigades. But there are hundreds of armed men belonging to a number of groups.
מחבלים מאוד חמושים מכמה ארגונים.
It's possible that the Jenin brigades may have surprised Israeli forces the Jalamars.
ما تشهده الضفة الغربية أستاذ منير ما تشهده الضفة الغربية.
What's the strategic effort of the new developments in the West Bank? What's happening in the West Bank is an unprecedented, unique thing, Munir Shafiq, a Palestinian writer, says. If we recall the events of the First and Second Intifada, we'll be surprised because we now see something that we have never seen before in the West Bank. Especially that a lot of effort was made to keep the West Bank inactive and away from acts of resistance. But all that's happening there now. That's why I think the strategic effect extends to many dimensions and is very important. The powers of both sides have developed, and that's allowed some individuals to move forward. They know they'll be killed, but they also know they'll achieve success against the enemy. Factions help each other in the field. There's no difference between Islamic Jihad al-Qasim brigades or Aqsa Martyr brigades fighters, al-Aqsa martyrs. In the field, we're all brothers, and our weapons are pointed at one enemy. So we help each other. You find fighters from all factions in one street. We don't differentiate between one faction and another. In the field, we have one national unity. We're all and we fight like one person. And remember, your engagement through a like, share, and a sub will accelerate us at warp speed towards the continuation of our mission to truthfully go where no news will have been going before. And from Press TV, Pentagon chief says Putin-Xi meeting sends very troubling message. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has described Chinese leader Xi Jinping's recent meeting with his Russian counterpart as a very troubling message to the United States. Early this week, Xi met with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a 3-day visit for peace. However, the visit's been viewed by the U.S. and its allies as Beijing's effort to show China's support for Russia in the Kremlin's Ukraine campaign. Xi's visit to Putin and remaining there for a couple of days, I think, sends a very troubling message. A message of support, Austin told lawmakers on the House Appropriations Defense Committee. Till now, the U.S. military has not assessed Beijing as providing any military aid to Moscow. Certainly just showing support by its presence there, I think, is very troubling, Austin claimed. Should China decide to provide military aid to Russia, Austin warned, it would prolong the conflict and certainly broaden the conflict potentially, not only in the region, but globally. Last month, U.S. officials said there'd be consequences if China begins to provide military aid to Russia to support its operation in Ukraine. On Monday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken claimed Xi was providing diplomatic cover for Putin during the visit. In the meantime, Beijing also accused the United States of fanning the flames in Russia's attack on Ukraine by providing military assistance to Kiev. After Russia launched its special military operation in Ukraine in late February, the U.S.-led Western allies started flooding Ukraine with weapons and munitions at an unprecedented rate. The Kremlin has repeatedly warned that supplying Kiev with lethal military aid will only exacerbate the deadly situation, and continuous flooding Ukraine with weapons will only drag the conflict out, make it more painful on the Ukrainian side, but it will not change our goals and the end result, the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov warned last year.
Уважаемый председатель Си Цзиньпинь, уважаемые дамы и господа, дорогие друзья, мы искренне рады возможности вновь принимать в России с государственным визитом нашего дорогого друга, председателя КНР, господина Си. Все наши переговоры вчера и сегодня в формате узком составе и с участием делегаций in a certain format, in a narrow format, and with the participation of the delegation, were successfully completed in a warm, comradely atmosphere. The two programmatic joint statements we have just signed fully reflect the special nature of Russo-Chinese relations, which are at the highest level of development in history, are an example of a true, comprehensive partnership and strategic interaction. Связывают крепкие узы добрососедства, взаимовыручки, поддержки, дружбы между нашими народами. Поддерживается активный двусторонний диалог на всех уровнях.
The active bilateral dialogues maintained at all levels. We're in constant contact with the President of the People's Republic of China. In addition to bilateral summits, we meet and regularly discuss topics on the sidelines of international events. We discuss issues of mutual interest by telephone and video communication. This allows us to find solutions to all problems, even in the most difficult situations, to keep under personal control all topical issues on the bilateral and international agenda.
Приоритетной для нас была и остается тематика торгово-экономического взаимодействия, что вполне естественно, учитывая, что Китай прочно занимает позицию ведущего внешнеторгового партнера нашей страны.
The position of the leading foreign trade partner of our country, our state, through concerted efforts, maintains the high dynamics of mutual trade, which grew by 30% last year, setting a new record of over $185 billion, and we're able to overcome the landmark of $200 billion this year. In a joint statement on the planned development of key areas of economic cooperation until 2023, the task was set to multiply the volume of trade in goods and services to deepen ties in 8 strategic areas, primarily financial, industry, and the technological and transport and logistics areas. The governments of Russia and China, the business circles of our two countries, should immediately start working on the practical development of the provisions of the statement and agree on a set of measures for their implementation, rich in specific mutually beneficial initiatives and projects. A serious incentive for the development of trade and investment cooperation is the expansion of the practice of settlements between our countries in national currencies. According to the results of the first 3 quarters of the year, the share of the ruble and the yuan in mutual commercial transactions reached 65%. It continues to grow, which allows us to protect mutual trade from the influence of third countries and negative trends in world currency markets. In the energy sector, which is progressing at a good pace, China has become a leader in the import of Russian oil, while Russia is ready to increase uninterrupted oil supplies for the needs of the Chinese economy. Broad perspectives for Russian-Chinese cooperation are also opening up in the gas sector. In 2022, Russia increased the supply of this fuel to China via the main pipeline by almost 1.5 times. And the Gazprom met the wishes of Chinese colleagues and fulfilled additional deliveries of over-contractual obligations, which certainly speaks of our company as about a responsible supplier and reliable partner. Further growth of Russian gas exports to China will be facilitated by the implementation of the intergovernmental agreement concluded in January on laying the Far Eastern gas route, as well as the implementation of the initiative to build the Power of Siberia gas pipeline through the territory of Mongolia, Siberia 2 gas pipeline. We discussed in detail the Mongolian side on all agreements they reached. This will be a 50 billion cubic meter of gas, or 50 billion cubic meters of gas, mentioning that the ranks fourth in the supply of liquefied gas to China and, of course, the supply of LNG for the foreseeable future. We will expand successfully, progressing cooperation on peaceful atom. Russia is helping to build nuclear power plants on Chinese territory, working on the construction of Unit 7 and 8 of nuclear power plants, and Units 3 and 4 are on schedule to strengthen partnership in this area, and it will allow the implementation of the growth signed during the visit by the China Atomic Agency and the Russian Atomic Agency program of long-term cooperation. We attach great importance to the further strengthening of bilateral industrial cooperation. Chinese automakers are successfully operating in the Russian market, expanding their presence. Major joint projects are being implemented in civil aviation and helicopter manufacturing, and non-ferrous metallurgy and space exploration, geotechnologies, pharmaceuticals, other scientific intensive areas. The strategic direction of Russian-Chinese partnerships, this is agricultural mutual trade in agricultural products is growing at a high rate. Last year, by more than 41%, there are opportunities for a significant increase. In this context, I'd like to note that Russia and China as a whole intend to actively develop international transport and logistics corridors. The idea is to more intensively use the potential of the Trans-Siberian and Baikal-Amur railways of the Northern Sea Route of the multi-lane. Their stable functioning increases the efficiency of the cargo transportation of goods, passengers, and to ensure the growing volumes of oncoming cargo flows. We increase the capacity of border crossings. We consistently expand the border infrastructure. So last year, 2 new cross-borders or border crossings, cross-border automobile bridges were put into operation in the Blagoveshchensk Zelenodozhry region of Russia. Traditionally, multifaceted nature is bilateral humanitarian cooperation. After the removal of anti-right restrictions begin to gradually return to the usual high dynamics, the cultural, scientific, educational, and tourist exchanges that in fact contribute to further deepening of friendship, mutual understanding, and sincere sympathy between Russian and Chinese citizens. Let me remind you that 2022-23 years have been declared in our countries as the years of Russian-Chinese cooperation in the field of physical, culture, and sports. The action plans being implemented and heard, 600 covering the spheres of mass youth and student sports, sports science of elite sports and Paralympic sports. And of course, we're waiting for a delegation of Chinese athletes next spring in Kazan at the first international multi-sport tournament of the Game of the Future. And innovative sports and these competitions, physical activity is combined with digital and scientific elements. This is a very promising initiative that attracts young people, which we could jointly promote with our Chinese friends. And in this regard, we invited them to be the host during the second such games in their country. When discussing topical international and regional problems, they stated with the President of the People's Republic of China that the views of Russia and China on most of them coincide or are very close. An increase in tension in many regions of the world was noted. And that the practice of applying illegitimate, politically motivated sanctions and other restrictions is expanding. The use of other means is not fair competitive greetings in the economic struggle they're being violated. Seemingly unshakable principles of non-interference in international affairs of the right to a strangely sovereign model of development, free trade access to modern technologies, and even to education. In this context, Russia and China strongly oppose any state or bloc to harm the legitimate interests of other countries in order to obtain military, political, and economic advantages. Of course, we do not have, or we have ignored the situation around, we have not ignored the situation around Ukraine. We believe that many of the provisions of China's peace plan are consonant with the Russian approach and can be taken as a basis for a peaceful settlement when they are ready for it in the West and in Kiev. However, I think settlements being translated from resolve or resolution. We've not observed such an approach on their part. Moreover, I was just informed at a time when we were discussing the issue of the possibility of implementing the Chinese peace plan. As chairman, the PRC chairman paid great attention to his peace initiatives during our yesterday's meeting. It became known that what the UK, through the mouth of the deputy head of the Ministry of Defense of this country, announced not only about supplies of tanks to Ukraine, but also shells with combined uranium. It seems that the West really decided to fight Russia to the last Ukrainian, not in words, but in deeds. But I'd like to note in this regard that if all this happens, then Russia will have to respond accordingly in view of the fact that the collective West is already beginning to use weapons with a nuclear component. I emphasize at the same time that Russia and China are pursuing an independent policy. They're working in solidarity to form a more just and democratic multipolar world order, which should be based on the central role of the UN and its International Security Council's rights, goals, and principles of the UN charters. We consider it important to continue to maintain close coordination with the framework of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the BRICS, to work in conjunction in the ATC Group of 20, and at many other multilateral platforms, and of course, to continue efforts to link integration processes within the European Union and the Chinese initiatives One Belt, One Road within. Eye on the formation and the perspective of great Eurasian partnership conclusion, I would like to once again thank Mr. Ping, Mr. Xi Jinping, and all Chinese friends for productive joint work expressed. Confidence that the achievements during the visit, the agreement will further strengthen the Russian-Chinese friendship, will contribute to the well-being and prosperity of our countries and peoples. All right, let's see if the Mandarin auto translation is any good. Russian was not bad. Oh, I wonder if he's simplified Chinese or traditional Chinese. Well, let's try simplified. And in actuality, that won't happen. This was originally given Russian subtitles, and so it's easy to auto-translate. Yeah, but I think that at this point, we'll open up a channel and beam me up.
Beam me up, Mr. Spock. Beam me up. Lock on transporters. Beam us up. Beam us up. Quickly. Beam us up home. Beam us up.
Prepare to beam us up, Mr. Scott. Beam us up, Mr. Scott.
Prepare to beam us up. Scott, prepare to beam us up. Have Scotty beam us up. Beam us up. Beam us up. Scotty, beam us up fast. Stand by to beam us up. Scotty, beam me up.
Beam me up.
Beam us up now!
Stand by to beam us up.
No need to beam me up, sir. The situation is under control.